Imagine you find yourself committing a crime, whether it's because you truly have malicious intent or simply because this is the circumstances of your life. It doesn't matter to the judge who has just sentenced you to several years in prison. For the majority of your sentencing, you will spend these years in a cell, locked away, disconnected from the world. Then, one day, you are released back into this world that you hope to join so much. But because there are no rehabilitation programs, you can't become the upstanding citizen that you're expected to be. This is because prisons are designed to simply punish the prisoners and not help them become the upstanding citizen that we all want them to be. This is a cycle that has been created by this punishment system. The cycle started in the 70s when the get tough on crime attitude became popular. This whole cycle can be broken through programs, mainly rehabilitation ones, that were started in the early 60s but were phased out. The punishment agenda of prisons disconnects the prisoners from the society that they hope to rejoin and just leads to them committing the crimes again. The current population of prisoners is 2 million in America. This is higher than any other nation in the world. That doesn't even count the 5 million left on probation and parole. Now imagine you were charged with a simple drug possession crime. The punishment and length of sentence is 3 to 7 years. And imagine now how quickly society and the culture we live in can change in just 1 year alone. This allows for many jobs to become obsolete that were once very popular, leaving many prisoners with job skills that are obsolete and don't help them at all. With no steady income and no job to turn to, many turn to their familiar way of life that they started that led them to crime, leaving them to just go back to the crimes they once committed. The National Institute of Justice reports that 75% of prisoners go back within 5 years of being released. This get tough on crime attitude that I mentioned earlier was started in the 70s. It was mainly started as the war on drugs became popular. Many people felt that prisoners had no hope and they just wanted to shove these members of society into a closet and forget about them. But because of this, prisons became very overcrowded and many programs were cut and the funding was needed to help figure out this overcrowding issue, which helps leave the system where it is today. A disastrous mess with no room for prisoners and no way to help them rejoin society. There are many ways to fix this issue that we find ourselves in, the biggest being to reinstate these rehabilitation programs that were lost many years ago. Only 18% of prisoners who take college-level courses within their rehabilitation programs find themselves back in prison. The majority rejoin society perfectly fine, and many go on to get a college degree. Job training is another way to do this. By training them to specific skills of jobs that are needed in society today, instead of leaving them with their old, obsolete skills, they can find a steady income and a steady way of life, and not have to return to their ways of crime that they did before. Another huge way to help solve this issue is through mental health. It is reported by the American Psychological Association that this number of mentally ill in prisons is 3 times higher than in the general population of the United States. With these mental health programs, these prisoners who need help that can't get it in the outside world can become rehabilitated and become more stable to rejoin society. This cycle of punishment and no rehabilitation has created a disconnect where prisoners have no hope of rejoining the society they desperately want to. The cycle of release and incarceration due to punishment is the main reason with our prison systems today. It was started in the 70s when the get tough on crime attitude became popular. Programs were created to solve this issue, but they were eventually phased out. And the way to fix the issue that we have now with our prison systems is to bring back these programs, whether it's job training, education, or mental health programs. The question I pose is, do we really want the population of an entire state to be left in prisons where they have no way to join the life they once knew?